Okay, so in this video we're going to do the setup of the Technical Dark 401 separate wire feed welder. So this is the way it's going to come. You'll have your wire feed inside in a box here. You'll have the welder, and at the back here you'll have the wheel kit, your umbilical. So I get all that unpackaged and I'll show you what to do. So we've got the two back wheels, we've got the front wheels, we've got the wire feed and the umbilical, and you're probably wondering how I put the wheels on. So if you open the panel here, you'll find the instructions and you'll find the washers and the linchpins for the wheels. So that's where you find them. Okay, so next up is to put your wire feed on top of the main unit. Okay, very simple. Wire feed also has casters, so makes life very easy. So we're going to do the umbilical. So these are the 6-meter umbilicals, nice long one. Okay, just a brief introduction to this insides of the welder. So this would normally be, for a compact welder, would be where the wire goes. Your umbilical is going to come in the back here, and it just has, come on now, it just has one green connector there, and it has the connection for the power here. In the water-cooled versions, this hole here is where the tank is, and you'd access it with a screw top, and there'd be a little gauge at the back here. What you do is feed in your connector, feed in your power lead, and then just squeeze the gas pipe a small bit to get it in there as well, and put in the rest of the sheath. Okay. So your gas pipe is literally doubling back out again. Then the connector goes in here. It can only really go on one way, and you can clip in the cable there. Then undo this screw and put on your power lead. So your green connector goes in up here, can only go on one way. Clip your cable in, put your power lead on here, and it is also 13 socket. Okay, that's it. That's most of your setup done. The only thing left to do is we have to do a plug. Now we come to the wiring of the plug. Right, at the moment the place I'm operating out of only has a 16 amp plug, but in reality the minimum you need to go for is a 32 amp. Okay, this welder is a hungry beast when it comes to power, but just for the purposes of setting up, I'm going to use a 16 amp plug. Now, so the torch connector is for a standard Euro torch. If it's a water cooled one, there'll be your two water cooled lines here, but as with all welders. Now, that's my torch on. Okay, so to feed through my wire, pull down this panel here, pull down your adjustment knob. We're going to feed through the wire now. Okay, that's as simple as it is. And then if you want to change your rollers around for 1.2, undo the two screws here and flip them around. That's it. Now you'll notice it's a very quiet machine. There's virtually no fan unless it's needed, and that's the way these machines are designed. That's why we have inverter machines, because the power that they use on standby is very low. Okay, so if you want to, I'll just do the controls quickly, right? So here we have your dynamic arc power. So this machine can also arc weld. So you've got your earth and your positive lead if needed. Believe it or not, it can TIG. So most people will be using it as a constant voltage source for MIG welding. And from talking to other customers, start off with your arc power at 4.5. So the arc power literally is the strength of the arc, and for different situations, whether you're doing verticals, horizontals, you may or may not want to adjust that, but don't mess around with it too much. Leave it at 4.5 and see what you think. Up here then, you've got your wire feed and you've got your actual amps. So again, that'll need some practice. Sorry, volts and amps. So amps on the left, volts on the right. And just before I go welding, not to forget your gas. The gas hose will go onto your standard flow meter, regulator, that I'm doing a very bad job putting it on. Okay, I'm ready with my wire. And the last thing then is my earth. So for normal welding, your earth goes in the very bottom here. And we're good to go. So just run through the setup one more time. You've got your arc power, don't fiddle with that too much. You've got your wire speed, and you've got your volts. You've got your amps shown here, and you've got your volts here, sorry. This is amps and volts. So I'm going to weld a bit of 3mm. I recommend there, after a bit of playing around, that you start off at about 220 amps and see how you go. So now, that was probably 220 is probably a bit high for 3mm box, but it's definitely a good starting point. So, you know, mess around with it. You'll get a feel for what amps and stuff you want to do. You'll also get a feel for the arc force, but I wouldn't go, you know, don't go, maybe give it a couple of percent either side of where you're happy. I wouldn't go mad with it until you are happy with the welder. But yeah, any questions, just give me a ring, but that's the setup.